Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Module 8. This is it. You've done it. You're almost done. You've almost completed everything. So, this course is looking at research-based literacy methods. Sometimes I forget the name of the course. Yeah. So, there you go. Uh, and I wanted to go over your assignments for this week, but just to kind of think about where we've been. So, in Module 1 was an introduction. Module 2 and 3, you looked at different articles and learned how to assess research in articles to find out the validity of those articles or not, and how to use research to back up whatever it is you're trying to learn. And so those two, you critiqued the different articles and research articles. Then we had 4 case studies. So now that you have learned about how to look at research better, we're going to apply that to our case studies. So you had 5 different case studies where you were given data and given information about a child or a class. And then you wrote SMART goals, you wrote interventions, and then you explained your faith integration. So that's the application part. Well, now we're kind of concluding, we're kind of getting everything completed with our module 4. If you haven't done course evaluations, I hope that you'll do that. That's right before Module 8. So let's look at Module 8 and talk about what you're going to do. So in this module, uh, we go to the Learn section, and you have one chapter to read. You're going to read chapter 12. It's called The Approaches of Teaching Reading. And this summarizes all the different, not all, but most of the uh, basic philosophies or approaches to teaching reading. So you'll look at that, read that, and then you have a discussion post. And your discussion post is consider the following approaches to reading, a basal approach. A lot of schools will use a basal. Um, Maybe you're in Polk County, you're using Wonders. The school that I work with, obviously, they use a basal called Sabez. Do you use a literature approach where you're using a literature book to teach reading? So it's using literacy or literature, I should say. Do you use an individualized, uh, like a reading workshop approach or a language experience approach? Now, let me be honest with you, some of these align more with the science of reading than others. Hopefully, you'll talk about that in your discussion forum. But I want you to talk about, give a specific example of when you incorporated one of these approaches. What are the advantages and what are the disadvantages of those approaches, of one of those approaches? That's your discussion. Then your other assignment. You are to read the book Whisperer, and I've been telling you about this for a couple weeks, so hopefully you've started on this already. So you're to, as you're reading this, you're going to fill out this double entry journal, and downloading that now for you. And let me try this again. Okay, so here's the double entry journal. So there are, and this is fillable, or so you can, there are 7 chapters. At a minimum, you need 2 quotes per chapter and a reflection. So as you're reading this, you're going to write a quote and then you're going to reflect on that for the entire book. Okay, now people ask me, for this, you do not need an AP title page. However, I do want you to have in-text citations, because part of this is, are you making connections with text-to-text connections? So you do need in-text citations, and then I do need you to put a reference page at the end. Okay? Okay. So you're going to be reading that, and let's look at, like we always do, let's look at our rubric. And look at that. So this is more of a checklist than a rubric. So let me go over that with you. So what am I going to look for? I'm going to look for that your essay demonstrates in-depth reflection and personalization from the course. viewpoints and interpretations are insightful and well supported. So that well supported is, did you use outside resources? Okay. Did you give clear examples? So when you think about comprehension, there's text to to self connections, which really are the easiest, and that's one way to do it. And I hope that you will have some text to self connections. There's also text to text connections where you're saying this text aligns with other things that I've read. And then text to world. What's happening in the world that I can relate to this? Those are all great connections. What's your interpretation and so forth? Then you're looking, did you analyze it? Did you, I want you to think about meaning and did you have kind of a self-criticism? Am I doing this? Should I improve? Did you have any aha moments, any questions? Then I will be looking at writing, looking at sentence fluency. Are you using correct spelling and grammar? And then do you have in-text citations? Do you have a reference page? I'm not going to require a title page and writing page. Not going to require that. Doesn't make sense to do that for this assignment. So the book that you're going to be reading, The Book Whisperer, is an excellent book. You're going to find it as an easy read, but it's about a teacher, and what she's trying to do is to make sure that every student in her classroom has books that they're interested, that they're motivated to read. I'm also going to share this week and it goes along with what she has written, and it's an article about rewards and reading. And what it talks about is research shows that rewarding kids with tangible objects that are not proximal to reading is not beneficial. And so that article, well, you're not getting tested on the article or anything like that, but I thought it would be interesting because it aligns with what the author is saying. How do you reward kids that read? Well, you reward them with reading. You reward them with books. You reward them with opportunities to share what they read, which is what we want to create. We want to create students that want to read, that enjoy reading. And we live in this world where there's so much testing, there's so much, many requirements, but we want to make sure that we're that book whisperer and that we can get all kids excited about reading. So I hope this will be a good way to conclude the class. That's all. It was a shorter video this week. I hope you guys have a wonderful week and that you enjoy reading this book. And I hope I'll have you for additional classes. Bye-bye.